Hi, this is Stan Bush.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calvert.
This is John Payne.
This is Jack Hughes.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevens.
Hey everybody, this is Prescott Niles.
Hello, I'm Kofi Baker.
And you're listening to Play That Rock and Roll.
One thing I know about Eric Bischoff is that in the past, he's been fairly combative with people who've written about WCW, sort of in that way we've talked about earlier. He expressed a lot of frustration about people who, didn't do the proper work and research. This is his second memoirs, and can we talk a little bit about what your role as a co-author means in a project like this? Is this recording a series of interviews? Is this fact-checking? These are his stories, but I could tell a lot of this was your writing when I was reading it. Tell me about your role in this book.
Well, I think my role, more than anything, was just to try to shape, the story and try to, filter out, what is kind of in service to our ultimate story that we're trying to tell here, which is really, the journey that Eric has been on over these past 15 or 16 years, which is arriving at a point in his life today where I can tell you this, I've had enough conversations and interactions with him now over these past, 7 or 8 years that it's, legitimate. He is at a point where he is truly, very grateful for everything that he's experienced, the good and the bad and the indifferent, and everything that he has at this point in his life. And, I think that's, it's a refreshing perspective, I think, because it's not very often today, in our culture that we hear too much about gratitude. So to have someone kind of put up their hand and say, you know what, yeah, I did make some mistakes, but I also did a lot of good things in my life. And when I look back on it all, I'm just very grateful for the journey. I think that's pretty interesting and like I say, quite refreshing. So my role really was to try to always make sure that whatever we were covering was in service of that story. This book could have probably been 3 or 4 times the length that it actually is, based on all of the things that we covered and all of the interviews that we did. But we tried to really limit it to, I think, what was most particularly relevant to both wrestling fans in general and those people who've really followed Eric's career closely today. But, the writing process was very much a collaborative one. So we would do, a series of interviews, and typically what I would do is transcribe those interviews, and then I would go back and try to identify themes within that transcript. So I would try as much as possible to talk to him about one particular thing on a particular day. And of course, within that discussion, we would go off in all this different kinds of tangents and directions. And when I went back and looked at those transcripts, I would really try to narrow down, okay, what were the 4 or 5, let's say, themes that we discussed in this particular interview, and where could that fit in the book? Is there an order that is becoming clear here? Are there some things that chronologically are going to make sense to try to insert in a particular chapter? Or are there some other things that he touched on here that we may have to weave in and out of the story? And then I would present, Eric with drafts of kind of what I was thinking based on what he had said. Every word in this book is Eric's words. And, what was great about working with Eric is, without fail, his feedback would always make those drafts better. I knew whatever I'm presenting to him, he was going to pick out a number of things that were going to only add more detail or more clarity, or maybe, he would add in a wrinkle that for whatever reason we just didn't cover when we did the interview. And so we kind of just bounced back and forth like that. We really collaborated. It was really a 50-50, team effort. And I had told Eric that from the start, that I didn't want this to be a situation where he did a bunch of interviews and then I went away for a year and wrote the book and slapped his name on it, and he read it for the first time like everyone else.
Yeah.
Every which obviously, as you know, does happen. So
yeah,
every word in this book is Eric's, and like I say, he was really a true partner and team player throughout the whole process.
That's awesome to hear. That is absolutely how I would hope that projects like these are put together.